I'm Jatna Toribio, and today I am with Fedor Kozlov, who's done an incredible amount of work with a nonprofit helping people who are dealing with domestic violence.
Yes,
And so I want to kickstart this conversation with you sharing a little bit more about what that work involved and a little bit about some of the most common situations that you came across with helping people with this.
of course. The domestic violence situation, and everything that is connected to it is a very hot topic. It's a very ongoing theme everywhere. You know, you watch TV, you watch all the stories about celebrities or sports stars or athletes that abuse their spouses or about some kind of abuse that's going on at home. The reason it's so difficult is usually because you know the victims of domestic violence, they don't go public too often about it. They don't want to be seen as a victim, and they don't feel comfortable doing that. However, the domestic violence is a problem in this country. Domestic violence can be defined in very many aspects. It can be the abuse, should say, can be have different forms. It can be financial abuse, it can be mental abuse, it can be physical abuse. Drug and alcohol is also an abuse towards the another spouse and towards the children, and that's also a very important factor when the children affected, when children see the abuse sometimes on a daily basis. They realize what's going on, they get upset about it, and then they've been traumatized. The organization you spoke about, that was in when I was in Michigan State. We work at the shelter, providing help for victims of domestic violence, because sometimes, usually it's a she, would not have a place to go and to live. And, you know, so we would provide shelter, we would provide food, clothes, and things like that. Another part was assistant with so-called orders of protection. Uh, and there are different orders of protection. There's a civil order of protection. There's a criminal order of protection. Criminal order of protection is something that state's attorneys dealing with. Once a person commits domestic violence, there's a criminal order of protection asking him to be moved out from the house and not to contact the victim. Civil order of protection, it's exactly what it is. It's a civil order of protection. It's a piece of paper that you can get in court. And now I'll be a little bit more technical, but it's important to understand and important to get the message out there that any person who suffers from domestic violence or abuse doesn't necessarily need to have a lawyer to start the process. She can go and file for the order of protection. It's called ex parte order of protection, meaning that she can go the same day in front of the judge without giving any notice to the other side and tell the judge that I need an order of protection from this person. I need him to be removed from my house. I need my kids to be with me. I don't want him to come to my job, you know, stalk me. I don't want him to go near my car, things like that. Once the order of protection is granted, that's called ex parte temporary order of protection. It's given for 2 weeks just to give the other side the notice. Despite that, you don't have a notice right away, the order of protection is in full effect when you get it. And you can go to the local police and they will go over to the house and they will remove the person. They'll give him like literally 50 minutes just to get his personal belongings, his ID, his wallet, and move out. In 2 weeks, you can go now and ask for this order of protection to be extended. It has to be extended, it usually extended to 2 years. It's called plenary order of protection. That's when you have to go through the full hearing, you have to present your case. You need a lawyer then. Absolutely. You can have a lawyer at the very beginning, but for the hearing, especially when it involves kids, you have to have the order of protection. You have to have the lawyer to get you the order of protection. So these are main things and main steps that you need to do while, you know, to protect yourself. Now remember this: what happens when order of protection is just a piece of paper. It doesn't give you the whole protection. Can the person violate the order of protection? Of course. Person can violate the order of protection by placing a call, by coming to you in the public place, by sending you a threatening text message or anything like that. What you do at that point, you call the police, and then the police will arrest them, and that's how a criminal case starts. Now, I do not encourage people, just to go and file order of protection every single time they feel like it. The life is life. Things might happen out of passion, out of jealousy, or other things. But if you think that this is just a time incident, people fight all the time. You don't have to have file order of protection just because of a small fight. So there's no way I'm encouraging people to do that. But if you do know that it's a repeated action, if you know this is something that he's going to do again, 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 and again, yeah, I think you have to file the order of protection. Again, it's a piece of paper. Would that prevent him from coming to you again or making even angrier the other person? I, Probably not. But there is no other remedy in law at this time that can help the person. So this is at least a step that you can make. And then repeated violators, they can go to jail. They can face serious time, serious fines. They'll have to go through anger management classes. If it's drug or alcohol abuse, it's also something that they will be forced to go through to get themselves evaluated, to get themselves clean. So, uh, but that's the aspect of the that's by few words about the orders of protection. It's much more. It's a huge subject, especially again when it involves kids, and whether or not you're in divorce process and things like that. That can influence your divorce process as well. But for the domestic violence, these are the steps that you can potentially make if something happens.
Understood. So you mentioned to take that initial step, you do not need an attorney. Is that
You
correct?
don't need an attorney. No, you just
Got it.
go to a courthouse like this,
Okay.
and you see a clerk, and you will see the judge the same day. You don't have to pay any money. You don't have to wait. You don't have to schedule. They will help you. In course, they have child representatives, guardians, they have victim counselors. They will fill out the application with you. That's what I used to do many years ago in Michigan. And they will go with you to court and present your case to the judge.
Gotcha. Is there any specific evidence that you need to provide in order to kickstart that process? Or at what point does the evidence then kick in order to proceed with next steps?
Great question. So at the very beginning, you have to show at least two unwanted contacts with you. So you have to, it's pretty much, you gotta show that, he hit me, or just testify. Your evidence is your testimony. It's under oath. So if you testify, if the victim testifies that she was hit, or she got this threat, or he has a gun, and it happened before some time ago, that's enough. Remember also that you have to act now. Like you can't, something happens and you don't do anything about it, and you wait for 2 months, and then you decide to go. It's not considered to be an emergency anymore because you waited too long. It's 2 months passed by and you're still communicating with the same person, you live together, so it's not that of an emergency anymore. But if you can show the action that it just happened like a few days ago, and then something happened back, doesn't matter how long actually, that's enough to show. Now the evidence, real evidence that you're going to discuss will be at the time of the hearing. If he or she decides to contest the order of protection, hires a lawyer, you have a lawyer, and you go, that's when the evidence, that the printouts from text messages, pictures of scars and bruises and other things, come into place. So that's when real hearing starts.
So it sounds like waiting too long from when the initial incident takes place is a mistake that should be avoided.
Yeah, sometimes people wait too long, and then sometimes it's too late, unfortunately. But again, it's very difficult. That's why this whole subject is very difficult, because
Yeah.
if you thinking it from the perspective of the mother, you know, the mothers, in my experience, hesitant to go and do something because first of all, they hope it was just one-time incident. Second, they don't want to take the, you know, move the father away from the children. They hope that his behavior he'll alter. But then, you know, the abusers, they always find excuses for their behavior. Either I lost my job, or something else happened, or somebody died, or, you know, I was in a car accident, or whatever that is. There's always an excuse, and there's always a good excuse. Uh, but it's just an excuse. That's what it is, and it's not a ticket for a person to, you know, just because something happened in his life, to abuse another person, pretty much, just because she's there every single day. So if you, in my mind, if you have kids and if it's physical violence, you gotta take the case to the judge. You have to report the domestic violence. Now, quick other thing that we didn't discuss yet, but I'm sure we will. There's this department that's called Department of Child and Family Services.
Mhm.
They might take away the child away from you, from a mother, if you did not report the incidents of the physical violence. Not to the kids, just because the kids observe how the father hits the mom, or, you know, something that's going on, and you didn't report, and you put your kids in danger like that, they can take the children away just because you didn't report.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty serious.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are
It's
there
unfortunate, it's
yeah.
tough, but that happens every single day, unfortunately, in Illinois.
Are there any other mistakes that you can share with us that victims should avoid?
Well, and it's going to be only my personal opinion,
Yeah.
based on my experience.
Sure.
The after you go through the order of protection, after you go through all the court steps and things like that, people tend to forgive. I don't know if they forget, but forgive for sure. Uh, the other side, historically, in Illinois, in this building, it happens just around Christmas time and New Year's time. The reason is, I think, very simple, that, you know, the mother wants the family to be together. He would send flowers, buy some kind of gift for Christmas. He would say that I want to see the children. They probably want to see the dad. And again, I'm just assuming that's she, and his situation, just for ease. There can be multiple different scenarios for that, but for the purposes of this discussion, it's a he. So, and then he would show to Christmas or New Year's. Alcohol is involved, and these sort of things come back. I don't believe personally that people change. And I also think that abusers always try to find a way to get at the victims just because they lost their court battle and now he had his way back into the household. He might do something else. Again, usually he levels it up, so steps up, so it's more serious abuse. Courts are closed during the holiday period, and usually with this, again, court, the daily center, the most when people file new orders of protection are January 6th or January 7th.
Wow.
That's called that. Literally, they come in and file because that's when the court's open. That's when all these things happen over the holiday season, and that's when most of the petitions are filed.
Wow. That's so interesting. And I mean, such a hard subject, right, to talk about,
It is,
but
yes.
it's important. It's important to stay informed. It's important to understand for anybody that may be going through a situation like this, you know, what are the first steps to taking action. So thank you so much for that valuable insight and sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.